Namaste, everyone. Welcome. This is day 4 of the Bhagavatha Sapthaham Pravachanam by Sri Dushyanth Sridhar ji. As I mentioned on the first day, Dushyanth ji doesn't need an introduction. You guys know him extremely well. It's a pleasure, it's a pure pleasure to watch and listen to him with these pravachanams. So we're lucky to have him all this week. This series is being done as part of the Ananthapadmanabha Mahotsavam this year. Mahotsavam will be a 5-day Mahotsavam in August 7th through 11th. There is detailed information at the back of the auditorium, also on the social media, the full religious program for the Mahotsavam, the sponsorship levels. So please take a look and support the temple with the sponsorships, and also participate on all of the puja days, all of the 5 days. Be here and make it a grand success. With that, thank you. Welcome, Dushyanth ji. Devotees are welcome, certainly, to come up and sit here on the stage as well. There are jamkalas. Please feel free to come up and be as close to Dushyanth ji as possible. You can hear him extremely well from here. Thank you. One other request, please make sure your phones are put on the silent mode as well, please. So last announcement is after the discourse tonight and tomorrow night, there will be Ananthapadmanabha. It will be, just make sure, it will be after the discourse. It will not start before the end of the discourse. So tonight and tomorrow night, after the discourse, there will be food, Jananam, in the dining hall. Thank you.
We need 10 of you here, because there'll be many people joining us. They won't have a place to sit. Please, 10 of you. And please, don't leave any empty chairs. I would request the volunteers, if you spot some empty chairs, please ask the astikas to come forward so that it becomes easier. Please don't leave any empty chairs in the first few rows. Start filling them up. Please come forward. Mun nera vendu. रामानुजदयापात्रं ज्ञानवैराग्यभूषणं श्रीमद्वेङ्कटनाथार्यं वन्दे वेदान्तदेशिकं लक्ष्मीनाथसमारम्भां नाथयामुनमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां यो नित्यमच्युतपदाम्बुजयुग्मरुग्मव्यामोहतस्तदितराणि तृणाय मेने अस्मद्गुरोर्भगवतोऽस्य दयैकसिन्धोः रामानुजस्य चरणौ शरणं प्रपद्ये माता पिता युवतयस्तनया विभूतिः सर्वं यदेव नियमेन मदन्वयानाम् आद्यस्य नः कुलपतेर्वकुलाभिरामं श्रीमत्तदङ्घ्रियुगलं प्रणमामि मूर्ध्ना भूतं सरश्च महदाह्वयभट्टनाथ श्रीभक्तिसार कुलशेखर योगिवाहान् भक्ताङ्घ्रिरेणुपरकाल यतीन्द्रमिश्रान् श्रीमत्पराङ्कुशमुनिं प्रणतोऽस्मि नित्यम् निगमकल्पतरोः गलितं फलं शुकमुखादमृतद्रवसंयुतं पिबत भागवत रसमालयं मुहुरहो रसिकाः भुवि भावुकाः नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयम् उदीरयेत् व्यासं वसिष्ठनप्तारं शक्तेः पौत्रम् अकल्मषं पराशरात्मजं वन्दे शुकतातं तपोनिधिं व्यासाय विष्णुरूपाय व्यासरूपाय विष्णवे नमो वै ब्रह्मनिधये वासिष्ठाय नमो नमः अचतुर्वदनोर्ब्रह्मा द्विबाहुरपरो हरिः अफाललोचनः शम्भुः भगवान् बादरायणः पाराशर्यवचःसुधां सुमनसः दुग्धाब्धिमध्योद्धृतां संसाराग्निविदीपनव्यपगतप्राणात्मसञ्जीवनीः पूर्वाचार्यसुरक्षितां बहुमतिं व्याघातदूरस्थिताम् आनीतां तु निजाक्षरैः सुमनसः भौमाः पिबन्त्वन्वः वन्दे वृन्दावनचरं वल्लवीजनवल्लभम् जयन्ती सम्भवं धाम वैजयन्ती विभूषणम् वाचं निजाङ्करसिकां प्रसमीक्षमाणः वक्त्रादविन्दविनिवेशित पाञ्चजन्यः वर्णत्रिकोणरुचिरे वरपुण्डरीके बद्धासनो जयति वल्लभचक्रवर्ती आम्नाय गन्धरुधितस्फुरितादरोष्ठम् आत्स्लाविलेक्षणमनुक्षतमन्दहासं गोपालडिम्बवपुषं कुहना जनन्याः प्राणस्य नन्दनमवैमि परं पुमांसम् आविर्भवत्यनिभृताभरणं पुरस्तात् कुञ्चितैकचरणं निभृतान्यपादम् दध्नानिमन्तमुखरेण निबद्धताळं नाथस्य नन्दभवने नवनीतनाट्यम् हर्तुं कुम्भे विनीतकरः स्वादुहैयङ्गवीणं दृष्ट्वा दामग्रहणचटुलां मातरं जातरोषां पायादीशतुः प्रचलितपदो नापगच्छन्न तिष्ठन् मिथ्या गोपः सपदि नयने मीलयन् विश्वगोप्ता व्रजयोषितपाङ्गवेधनीयं मधुराभाग्यम् अनन्यभोग्यमीडे वसुदेववधूस्तनन्दयं तत् किमपि ब्रह्मकिशोरभावदृश्यम् अधराहितचारुवंशनाळाः मकुटालम्बिमयूरपिञ्चमालाः हरिनीलशिलाविभङ्गलीलाः प्रतिभासन्तु ममान्तिमः प्रयाणे जानकीकान्तस्मरणम् गोपिका जीवनस्मरणम् नमः सदसे नमः सभाये. With the abundant blessings of Paramatma Shriyapati, we have gathered in the very revered, sacred, very well acclaimed, very well known premises of Sri Shiva Vishnu Temple, SSVT. This temple is celebrating a very grand Mahotsavam for Sri Ananthapadmanabha Swami. Ananthapadmanabha is the Aradhya Devata for the Rajas of Thiruvananthapuram. The very famous Raja in that lineage was Martandavarma. Martandavarma said, "From me, everybody else who comes in my lineage shall be known as Padmanabha Dasas." So much so that the very veteran Vagekara of the clan Swati Tirunal would use Padmanabha as his mudra. Kalitavara setu bandham kalanisima bishitaya shana jvalana Kanthavidaram atidhiram jvalana puta janaka suta sahitayata saketam Vilasita Pattabhishekam Vishwapalam Padmanabham Bhavayami. So, Padmanabha was the mudra for Swati Tirunal. Thiruvananthapuram has been a place of various magic and wonder. And Vedanta Deshika, in his acclaimed allegorical play called as Sankalpa Suryodayam, written in the 13th century in the 6th act, talks about the greatness of Ananthapadmanabha through a shlokam, Naham, Naham, Nachaham, beautiful shloka. So to commemorate Ananthapadmanabha Swami's presence and his benign blessings to devotees here in Maryland, the temple has arranged a grand Ananthapadmanabha Swami Mahotsavam in the month of August. And as a precursor to that event is this Sapthaham series of Srimad Bhagavatam. And in Srimad Bhagavatam we have discussed the salient features of Vaktri Vailakshanyam, Shrotri Vailakshanyam, Vishaya Vailakshanyam and Sthala Vailakshanyam. The greatness of the listener Parikshit, who is also the one who throws a volley of questions. The greatness of the Acharya Varya Shuka Brahmam, who is the son of Vyasa, grandson of Parashara, great-grandson of Shakti, great-great-grandson of Vashishta. Shuka's greatness, Tvam Dvayashta Varsham Sukumara Padam, we have discussed the greatness of Shuka, who is the Bhakta, also the one who answers the questions of Parikshit. We also discussed the greatness of Vishaya Vailakshanyam, the greatness involved in the Grantham, and Sthala Vailakshanyam, which was by the banks of river Ganga, alongside Bhagavatam. We have then and there also interspersed the greatness of another poet extraordinary called as Narayana Bhattatiri, who was born in the small hamlet called Melpattur, which thrived in the northern banks of a river called Bharatapuzha in northern Kerala. He says in his grammar-based work called as Prakriya Sarvasvam Bhukhande Keralakye Sarita Nihanila Uttare Naiva Nava Kshetraga Vyutimatne Punaruparinava Gramanamni Swadhamni Dharmishtat Bhattatantra Akira Matamator Matradattat Vijendrat Jato Narayanakhyo Niravaha Datulam Devanarayanagyam. I, Narayana Bhattatri, was born in the village called Melpattur, which is a small village lying by the northern banks of river Bharatapuzha, north of a kshetram called Tirunavaya. I learnt all these works. He gives all the description. It's a autobiography. Mimamsadi Swatata Nigamamasvilam Madhavacharya Varyat. He says, I learnt all these works from my acharyas. One of the acharyas happened to be Achyuta Pisharoti. Achyuta Pisharoti was the one who had developed rheumatoid arthritis. Some say stomach pains, most of them say rheumatoid arthritis, which is a Vatarogam. In Ayurveda Shastra, we call three elements, Kapham, Vatam, Pittam. So it is believed that Vayu caused it. So, as a relief to that Vatarogam, Bhattatri accepts the ailment from his guru. He is now afflicted with rheumatoid arthritis, Vatarogam. To get something eradicated caused by Vayu, he comes to Guru Vayur. And incidentally, to get eradicated of that ailment caused by Vayu, he comes to Guru Vayur. Why Guru? Because Guru is Brihaspati. Brihaspate Tarapate Meena Rashyadhipate. How many of you have Meena Rashi here? Meena Rashi. So, Guru is the Adhipati of Meena Rashi. When he comes to Guruvayur, the solution to his problem comes from Tunjattu Ramanuja Eluttachan, who says Meena Tottu Kuttuga. So for the ailment caused of Vayu, he comes to Vayur. He comes to Guru, who is Brihaspati. Brihaspati is the Adhipati for Meena Rashi, so the solution is Meena Rashi Adhipati. He writes the essence of Bhagavata Mahapuranam through a work called as Narayaniyam of 1036 verses housed in 100 dashakams. So the essence of 18,000 verses is through 1036 verses. So we have a choice whether we can memorize 1036 or 18,000. Is there something lesser, sir? Nothing. So, why did I talk about meena tottu kootuga? Idana oru vakyam. Endana ee meena? Now, the beauty is, had he told this in Bengal, mean ledo arachu shaapda sollirukkaru. Mean endana? Mean ane Matsya Avataram. Matsya Avatarathil thodangu, which means begin with the fish, write the essence of Bhagavatam. See, the statement was very cryptic. He could have said write the essence. But this is a prahelika. Acharyas would always give puzzles. Kalena gata nidrasya dhatu shishaishor bali mukhato nistrutan vedan hayagrivontike harat. Here comes Matsya Avataram. Brahma, see, there are 2-3 instances mentioned in the Puranas where Brahma loses the essence of Vedas and Bhagavan gives it. One is Matsya Avataram, one is Hayagriva Avataram, one is Hamsa Avataram. Hamsa Matsya Kamatadhya Avatara Shata says Vedanta Deshika and Daya Shatakam. In our context, let's take only this Matsya Avataram. Kalena gata nidrasya. Brahma will also feel tired. Continuous manufacturing, who will not? Right? He yawned. That's all, he yawned. As per the traditional pattern in Sanatana Dharma of listening to lectures, there are 2-3 styles. One is Upanyasam. This is Upanyasam. Hindi mein upanyas ka matlab hai novel. If you go to the north, upanyasam is not upanyasam. If you say he is doing upanyasam, they'll ask, give me the book, because novel is upanyas. Whereas in Sanskritam, upanyasam means delineation. You narrate. The common word pan-India is pravachanam. Pravachana, upanyasa. These are all ways where you tie up various stories, tell it in a way that people can relate to, understand, enjoy. That is Upanyasam. There is another pattern which is Sangeeta Upanyasam, very close to Harikatha, where you dimikita, baja mridangam, brahmatala kari, gajanana, tandava nritya kari. So, when Marathas ruled Tanjavur, they brought in the Abhang Paddhati. So there will be music and you will also talk musically. அப்போது பெருமாள் வந்து அந்த இடத்துல வந்து சொன்னாராம். அது கேட்ட உடனே நாரதர் வச்சனத்தை கேட்டுவிட்டு ஹனுமான் அந்த இடத்துல. Have you heard? This is a musical paddhati. Then there is another paddhati called kalakshepam. Kala means time. Kala means time. Kshepa, kshipa, kshepa, kshipa, the verb means to throw, to waste. So kalakshepam, when you put these words together, their meaning means wasting time. That we know, sir, for the last 3 days. We have realized. But Sanskritam as a bhasha is a very sarcastic language. You need to get into the nuances of that language. For example, Vishwamitra enters the court of Dasharatha in Srimad Ramayana, and the moment he enters, Dasharatha says, whatever you ask, I will fulfill. This is a typical politician statement. Election manifesto. I will do this, I will do that. Nothing you do. 8,500. Khatakat, fatakat, nothing you do. So, you will promise. Why do they promise? They know very well voters will forget. Like how in an Upanyasam too. So, Dasharatha promises, then when Vishwamitra says, give me your son Rama, Dasharatha says no. Vishwamitra argues and finally fails in that argument, and then he leaves the Sabha Mandapam stating, Dasharatha, Sukhi Bhava Suhridvrataha, may you live happily. Does it mean he has to live happily? No. But that's a sarcastic way of saying, Nanna iru. Which means it is opposite meaning, you will not live happily. Imagine you are at a family function, two of them are talking about a third person. That is the general paddhati. And whenever you are talking about a third person, we will not have charitable words. Imagine after we speak, that person comes. So you will surely know that the person has not been speaking good things. So this is exact opposite meaning. See, punyam ante emi? Punyam ante punyam. Sir, emi prashnam chestunnaru. అదికోసమే నేను చాగంటి గారు ఉపన్యాసమే నేను శ్రవణం చేస్తాను. ఏమి ఇది మధ్య మధ్యలో ప్రశ్నం? పుణ్యం means punyam. Janaha means people. Punya Janaha means technically it should mean people who have done punyam. No. In Sanskrita dictionary, people who are Rakshasas are called Punya Janaha. Rakshasas are called Punya Janaha. That's why. Don't think when two words come together, their meanings will also bend. When two parties make alliances, there need not be a chemistry. The vote transfer need not happen. So Punya Janaha means Rakshasas. Maha, big. Vriksha, tree. Maha Vriksha should mean a big tree. No, the shortest tree is called Maha Vriksha. Gramam is village. Simham is lion. Grama Simham means dog. If someone says, నేను చెప్తున్నాను కదా గ్రామసింహం వాడి, నేను గ్రామసింహం, he is calling you a dog. Similarly, kalakshepam technically means wasting time. You should take the opposite meaning, which means spending your time usefully. So in kalakshepa paddhati, there is a rule that when you are listening to your guru, if you yawn, listening to some great thing, if you yawn, paddhati says you will forget what you have heard till then. Be careful. Kalena gata nidrasya dhatu shishaishorbali. Brahma yawned. The moment he yawned, whatever he had grasped till then, he forgot. See, imagine a daily scenario. You want to say something very useful to somebody else. You want to say something. Imagine you're just reaching that person and you're just about to say and you forget. You'd feel like cursing yourself. Just now I remembered, how did this get out of my mind? Brahma too started crying. Mukhato nistrutan vedan Now that knowledge was stolen. See, you have to take this in a very allegorical way. That knowledge was stolen by, how can you steal knowledge? Don't ask me. Right? But knowledge was stolen. Today we talk about so many things, right? IPR rights. That is also intellectual property rights. So somebody must steal it. So you can file cases. So here knowledge was stolen. Who took? Hayagrivo Antike Haratu. An Asura called Hayagriva took it. That is why I told you that day. Bhagavan also has an Avataram called Hayagriva. There is an Asura also called Hayagriva. Meanwhile, in Dramida Desham, by the banks of river Kritamala. Who is Kritamala, sir? Vaijantimala sister. Who is Kritamala? Very good. Vaigai. Vaigai is called Kritamala. The river by that used to be flowing near Madurai. So, in that Kritamala, by the banks of river Kritamala, was a Raja called Satyavrata. He was a Dramida Desha Raja. He was doing Arghyam. When he took the waters of Kritamala, he spotted a small fish. There were bigger alligators that could consume that fish. So he wanted to protect. He took that to his Kamandalu, small container, placed that fish there. In a few minutes before he could see, the fish grew. He thought there is no place for movement. It is like one studio apartment in New York City. So he took this fish and placed that in a bigger container, borosil container. It grew further. Then he took that to a bigger Instapot and placed it there. So as he kept on moving the containers, the fish kept growing. He was quite clueless as to why this was happening. In his Yoga Dasha, Bhagavan said, I was that fish. In a few days from now, Madurai will face a deluge. At that point in time, you need to take some specimens of the flora and the fauna along with the Sapta Rishis in a boat that will have a rope towards its end attached to the horn of me as a fish, Shringi. So Shringi is a namam in Sahasranamam. You remember in Vishnu Sahasranamam, Shringi comes, right? Adi Shankara comments, the one in Matsya Avataram who had a beautiful horn. What is there about beautiful horn? So this horn, the one who had that horn was called Shringi. And is there a fish like that? I came across one fish with the binomial nomenclature, Unicornus nomura, that has got one horn. So Bhagavan said, I shall come as the fish, I shall carry you to safety. Take these specimens carefully. What are these specimens? See, some of you may be accustomed to buying yogurt, curds. Some of you may be used to making curds, fermenting curds. But for this making curds, there is a problem. Suppose you are going for 2 months to Bharatadesha, somewhere else. Then what you have to do is either you should have a helpful friend. That adjective is very important. Helpful. So, or you will take little sample of the curds that you have already had, keep it in that yantram, that cool yantram. It will keep for eons together. Next pralayam you can store it. So, once you are back, you will take it. So, you are storing one small sample for you to create that curds. Same is the case with specimens. Seeds, we call it. So this king followed the words of Bhagavan, and when the deluge happened, they all sat in the boat. Now when I speak of this, if you have read the world civilizations, you will come across this narration in many civilizations. In Egyptian civilization, you will come across, there is a temple for the sun called Luxor. The sun god is called Ra. That Ra, the Nile river goes from the south to the north. So it starts from Madhya Africa and goes towards the north and drains into the Mediterranean. So as it goes via Luxor, where there is a sun temple. So if you go through civilizations, you will find a lot of similarity with Bharatiya civilization. They will worship the sun, they will worship the moon, they will worship the stars. Until the Western religions, which are largely monotheistic, we had the worship of nature which was dominant in the Egyptian, in the Greek, in the Sumerian, in the Mesopotamian civilizations. So you will find this narration with changed names. Now I am not getting into the concept whether it went from Bharatam to other civilizations or from other civilizations. Let us leave it for the departments in the theology in all your universities to research on that. But this is Matsya Avataram. So Matsya happened at that point in time. Nirmagna Shruti Jala Margana Dasha Dattakshanai Vikshanai Antastanvadi Varavinda Gahanan Audanvati Namapan Nishpratyuha Taranga Ringanamita Pratyudha Padaschata Dola Roha Sadohalam Bhagavato Matsyam Vapuh Patunaha. Then came a $1 million question. Why should Bhagavan come as only the fish? Vedanta Deshika gives a beautiful description. So does Venkatadhvari Kavi. He says, Bhuyishtam tava drishtireva kamale bhutim chirat proshitam. Bhagavan keeps looking at Mahalakshmi as she massages his foot, thigh massage. She's the thigh, mother, right? So, as she massages, Bhagavan looks at her eyes. Her eyes are merciful and they are nourishing as a mother fish. See, it is believed in literature that a mother fish never cooks for her children. She will look at her children and their stomachs will be full. Wish we had such powers. The child should come to the parents. Papa, Mama, I am hungry. The mother should look. It will be so easy. We can do away with the kitchen in our house. That is why we say Meenakshi. Meenakshi, she nourishes with her looks. Mamava Meenakshi Rajamatangi Madura Vani Varali Veni. She just looks. So he looked at Mahalakshmi's eyes which were akin to fish. He too wanted his eyes to be like the fish, but it never turned into fish. So Acharya says he looked at Mahalakshmi's fish-like eyes, aspired to have fish-like eyes. He couldn't get, so he became the fish. Bhuyishtam tava drishtihi eva kamale bhutim chirat proshitam. So as during the deluge, he brought them to safety, the Saptarishis, the Raja called Satyavrata of Dramita Desham by the banks of river Kritamala. You should remember. So then, after bringing them to safety, he went behind the Asura called Hayagriva, killed him with his horn. Now who will be inside that horn? Very good. Sudarshana. I told you that day. Nakam Sudarshana. Shringam Sudarshana. In the tusks of Varaha. So then he annihilated the demon who had stolen away the knowledge and restores normalcy to Bhumi, giving back Brahma his knowledge. So this is Matsya Avataram. Now comes Kurma Avataram. Now a few people may have this question. Is it in the same order? No. Matsya, Kurma, Varaha is not in that same order. One of the earliest avatars is Varaha Avataram. Next comes Narasimha Avataram. Next comes Vamana Avataram. Kurma Avataram. Next comes Vamana Avataram. The order is different. Now don't convert it to amphibian that fish, aquatic. Then it will become amphibian. Then marshes, semi-terrestrial. Then lion is fully terrestrial. Then the early man, Paleolithic age called as Vamana. Then the barbaric early man civilization called, don't compare it that way, then we will be lost, because in the Puranam the order itself is different. So in Kurma Avataram we come across Durvasa Maharishi. It begins with Durvasa. Wherever you need some problem, you have to invite Durvasa. So Durvasa never had a permanent residence. He used to keep traveling. And he was a very problematic person. If you call him, there will be a problem. If you don't call him also, he is Subramanya Swami. So, Durvasa Suravanitapta Divyamalyam Shak. Don't tell him this. Shakraya, edit that. Shakraya Swayam Upadaya Tatra Bhuyaha Nagendra Prati Mrudite Shashapa Shakram Kakshantis Tvaditara Devatam Shajanam. After having visited Sri Mahalakshmi in Karya Vaikuntham, a Vidyadhara Stri who performed before Mahalakshmi got her Mala Prasadam. You must be wondering, generally in Upanyasam there is a Paddhati that they adorn the Upanyasaka with a garland. Why are they not doing? They are ready to do. I am not ready to accept. See, the problem is, the bigger the temple, the bigger will be the Mala. Every day I give a lecture. If I go to Sivakasi and all, it will be so big. Somewhere I have to put my head outside and speak. And full of fragrant flowers. And when it is filled with natural fragrance, the bumblebees start hovering around. Angam harehe pulakabhushanam ashrayanti brinhanganeva mukula bharanam tamalam angikrita kila vibhutir apangalila mangalyadastu mama mangala devatayaha. You know, there's a kshetram called Tirukkanna Mangai in central Tamil Nadu. You have to visit that kshetram. Bhagavan is 11 feet. Bhaktavatsalam Perumpura Kadal is called in Tamil. Beautiful kshetram. It is called Krishna Mangala Kshetram of the Chola architecture. There, Mahalakshmi's Sannidhi, she is called Abhishekavalli. Bhaktavatsalam Abhishekavalli Yutam. So that kshetram is very famous. It is believed in the Sthala Puranam that Bhagavan and Mahalakshmi were married there. So the Devatas wanted to have a darshanam. So Mahalakshmi said, come as bumblebees. So Madhu Makshika Aradhitam. So if you go to that Sannidhi of Mahalakshmi, in the Uttarayana Kalam, 6 months the bumblebees will construct a hive on the left. Dakshinayana Kalam they will construct in the right. Dikshitar mentions that Madhu Makshika Aradhitam. Mahalakshmi can withstand. How can I? So I tell them, don't put the mala. Mahalakshmi gave this mala prasadam to the Vidyadhara Stri. See, as primitive mortals who visit temples to receive the blessings of Paramatma, we will have that interest when somebody else whom we know is being garlanded by the priest. Human mentality. I wish even I got that garland. Human mentality. But that joy will stop the moment we get it. Then next minute, where to keep it? Cholas and Pallavas were very helpful. They constructed many cavities and crevices in the temple. So you can keep that mala there and come. If you go to Shiva Kshetram, all pillars will be white in color. You may be wondering if it is Makrana marble from Rajasthan. No, they are granite. The moment you get Vibhuti, in the month of Margazhi, when you receive Pongal, all pillars will be smelling ghee. Mama vandana or veshti lethechu. Durvasa Suravanitapta Divyamalyam. Now she had that mala. She did not know whom to give. She spotted Durvasa. She had to impress upon Durvasa. She gave the mala to Durvasa. Durvasa said, Jio, Sukhi Bhavu. Jio, Airtel, so then she took that mala, gave it to Durvasa. Durvasa did not know what to do. He saw the 4-tusked elephant called Airavata. Indra was seated on it. He said, Indra, I have got this mala prasadam, take it. Indra did not want to get down. So he said, Aira, Lelo. So that Airavatam had this trunk. So Durvasa fixed that mala and that Airavatam took that mala towards its mastakam and placed it there. Now many malas, if you are using roses, certain other flowers, it may have thorns. It may be very irritating to the skin. This elephant found it very irritating. It did like this, that mala fell on the ground and that elephant trampled on that particular garland in front of Durvasa's. That's about it. Shakraya swayam upadaya tatra bhuyaha nagendra pratimrudite shashapa shakram. He cursed. It is because of the comforts and and the riches that you enjoy, that out of sheer arrogance you are trying to humiliate me, Indra, so you will lose all your riches. Indrani Shachi Devi's organza became Sungudi. Indrani's backyard used to have a vriksham called as Parijatam, and it had a creeper called Kalpakam, Kalpaka Vriksham. So Kalpaka Vriksha is a wish-yielding creeper. This is what is told in the Puranas. If you go ask lasagna, it will give you lasagna. You don't have to go to the dry kitchen, wet kitchen. No kitchen you have to go. So it will give you whatever you want. Pina colada, it will give you whatever you want. Thai curry, Thai panna curry, so whatever you ask. So, and then there used to be a wish-shielding stone called as Chintamani. Kripe Krita Jagadvide Kripanajantu Chintamani Ramasahacharam Tada Ragudurimya Yantyatpaya Vyabhajjata Saritpatihi Sakrita Vikshana Takshana Prakrishta Bahupataka Prashama Hetuna Setuna. So there was a stone that went missing. Kalpakam withered. A wish-shielding cow called Kamadhenu ran into the woods. Airavatam went missing. So every sign of destitution was visible in Indra's house because of Durvasa's shapa. Indra was so accustomed and used to comforts that he couldn't live in Daridryam for long. So that is when he went and expressed his anguish to his mother Aditi. Aditi told her husband Kashyap, "मैं मेरी बेटे को ऐसा नहीं देख सकती, बहुत दुख आता है, मैं बहुत दुखी, क्या करूं Kashyap?" So Kashyapa said, "See, I don't have a solution. They have to ask Narayana." That is when Narayana said, "See, all your riches have gone to the trenches. You'll have to get them out. For that, the churning has to happen. Manthanam, Matimanthanama Vidya Yenadau Shruti Sagara Churning." This Samudra Manthanam is a very detailed procedure mentioned in 4 granthas. Remember, in Balakandam, Ramayanam, when Rama goes to the forest as an internship period with Vishwamitra, Vishwamitra narrates Samudra Manthanam and Kurma Avataram to Rama. So in Ramayanam, there is a mention of Samudra Manthanam. In Mahabharatam, first Parva, Adi Parva, there is Samudra Manthana description. In Vishnu Puranam, there is a clear description of Samudra Manthanam. In Bhagavatam, there is Samudra Manthanam. One Avataram, one incident that has occupied the minds of all rishis in Ramayana, Mahabharata, Bhagavata, Vishnu Purana, Samudra Manthanam. And its influence spread across architecture through Southeast Asia. You go to the 13th century Paramavishnu Loka, currently known as Angkor Wat, the eastern wall, 216 feet in length, constructed by Suryavarman II, has Samudra Manthana panel. In Samudra Manthana, I told you, see, remember, around 8 minutes back I told you, the order is Varaha, Narasimha, Kurma and Vamana. Manasila undaki. Kurmavadarattil, Bali Chakravarti is the one who takes part on the behalf of Asuras. I told you on day 2, Va, Ba are replaceable words because Bengali as a language doesn't have Va. Every Va will become Ba. So Chakravarti, Chakraborti, Vidya, Vidya, Vrindavan, Vrindavan, Ban, Dhano, Dhano, Pushpe, Bhura, Omodere, Boshundhora, Tahal Mache, Ache, Deshak, Shoko, Deshe, Shera, Sheja, Shopno, Die, Tori, Shede, Shriti, Gera, Emun Deshti Kotha, Kuje, Pabe, Nago, Tumi, Shoko, Deshe, Rani, Sheje, Omo, Jonmo, Bhumi. So, Ba, Va, Ba. That is why, what is Bhumi called? Bhumi is the place where you have wealth. Wealth is Vasu. So she is called Vasundhara, Vasumati. So that it becomes Boshundora. Boshumati. That is why we say Boshumati. The rice is Basumati, right? It is Basumati because it comes from Bhumi. So Vasumati becomes Vasumati, Bashumati. Ba. So when knowledge passed from India through East India and then into Brahmadesham, which is Myanmar, and Kambuja Desham, which is Cambodia, Ba were replaced. So who participated in the Samudra Manthanam? Mahabali. Bali, right? Ba replace it with Vali. So this mispronunciation made a huge effect in Angkor Wat. You will see Vali the monkey doing the Samudra Manthanam. So this is the connection. Now, so coming to the Samudra Manthanam, even if you go to this Thailand airport, it is called Suvarna Bhumi. You will find Samudra Manthanam there. So the Samudra Manthanam is very important because in Kambuja Desham, Cambodia, the river is called Siam Reap. There is a river there, Mekong, and then that meets, and there is one part where the river goes back, tracing its path, and churns within that lake. So there is a geological connection to the lake, Manthanam. So this Manthanam was to happen. That is when Bhagavan said, Ahihi Mushikavatu, very important word in Bhagavatam. Indra, you want wealth, so you have to have a Sandhi. Sandhi means coalition with Asuras. So you have to agree to whatever demands they say. Whenever it is not a majority government, you will have to accept the deeds like Ahihi Mushikavatu. Ahihi is snake. Mushika is rat, mice. They will have an agreement because if you don't agree, then one will eat the other. So you have to agree. Ahihi Mushikavatu Nyayam. See, if you go to literature, certain things are very beautiful. It's called Timingala Nyayam, Matsya Nyayam, and so on. Now Indra goes to the Asuras and says, fine, let's have a deal. Let's do the churning. How will they churn? So they have to get a mountain called Mandaram. They have to have a churning rope called as Vasuki, the snake. Vadavarayai mataki Vasukiyai nanaki kadal vannan pandorunal kadal vagira kalakinaye. The Devas and Asuras were supposed to hold the snake. The Devas held the tail bhagam, Asuras held the head bhagam. They had to, but they didn't have the strength. By the time they did all this, they became tired. No Red Bull was available. So they had to churn. Vadavarayai mataki Vasukiyai nanaki kadal vannan pandorunal kadal vaira kalakinaye abhyasurbhuvanatrayi manibhritam kanduyanairandrana nidranasya parasya kurma vapushaha vishwasavatórmayaha yadvikshepana samskritodadhipaya prenkola paryankika nityarohana nirvrito viharate devasahaiva shriya. So this churning happened. As this churning happened, Ramayanam says herbs were thrown into the water so that you get the churning, the rasayanam comes out. But what came out first surprised everyone. It was the toxic poison called Halahalam Kalakutam Garalam Taralanalam Purasta Jaladehe Udvijagala Kalakutam. That poison came. Whenever we have heard these oil ships going, and when they drown, that oil will have a different viscosity. So every liquid will have a viscosity. Only when the colloid has the same, there will be a colloid and colloid, liquid and liquid. Like milk and water go together, whereas oil and water will not go together. So you'll have layers. So when this Halahalam Kalakutam started floating, see, for Kalpaka Vriksham, Kamadhenu and all, somebody will come. Who will take poison? That is when Paravashiva, Parama Udara Gunashiva, Shankarotiti Shankaraha, Nakhalva Atmanas Sachivoktam. A beaut, if you're all into Sanskritam reading or at least translation reading, read a work of the 16th century by Nilakantha Dikshita, great poet in Madurai, he wrote a Champu Kavyam called as Nilakantha Vijaya Champu about the greatness of Shiva, and then another work called Ganga Avataram. Great poets we had. Now he writes how Shiva came. Puranam says when Shiva took the poison, he did Achamanam. Achyuta Yanamaha, Ananta Yanamaha, Govinda Yanamaha. He did that Achamanam and drank that poison. Parvati, folklore says, Parvati got to know, so she came running, and folklore says she held his kantham. Shiva is extremely fair. As per Puranas, very fair complexion. Nayanmar says Ponnarmanian, gold complexion. Many of the Astikas, when they go to Uttara Bharatam, they'll say you'll find Shiva with full blue. I don't know where that color came from. He never took part in Ujala. But that blue color will be given. His kantham alone became blue. Nilakantha. Why Parvati head? That is why one poet in Sanskritam wrote, look at the irony. One side poison is going, other side Parvati is choking it. So he became Nilakantha. Kandarpana Krodha Dindakanteredu Kunda Ugranu Nine Indiresha Sri Ramana Namava Chandadi Pogaluva Nine Valayadi Kapala Gididu Dikshe Dedo Digambara Nine Jala Madida Gopalanemba Hendige Maruvad Nine Chandra Chuda Shiva Shankara Parvati Ramana Ninage Namo Namo. He held the poison. Now, what saved him from the poison? See, poison will have some effect. Bhagavad Pada says, it is because of Parvati's Saumangalyatvam that you were saved, Shiva. Karalam Yakshvelam Kabalidavatakkala Kalanana Shambhos Tanmulam Tavajanani Tatanka Mahima Suvasinyachana Prita Shobhana Shuddhamanasa. So now Shiva, what did he get? He will get Chandra and sometime. Let him. Shiva's greatness is over. Now again, the mountain started drowning. Lot of problems everywhere. Now mountain started drowning. That is when the Devas prayed. That is when Narayana appeared as the Kurma. Nidranasya Parasya Kurma Vapusha. Why did he come? Vedanta Deshika, being the prolific poet, gives a reason why he came as the tortoise. He says Bhagavan wanted to scratch his back. He has Lakshmi. So he wanted to get to an automatic machine that scratches his back. So the one that will scratch automatically will be the rhythmic coarse movement of Mandara Parvatam. So his back became the shell and he became the tortoise. As the Mandara Parvata had the rhythmic movement over his back, it felt as if somebody was scratching him non-violently. And as that scratching happened, he was thrown into sleep. As he slept, he snowed. As he snowed, the water next to him turned into waves, says Vedanta Deshika. Avyasur bhuvana trayi manibhritam kanduya nairandrina nidranasya parasya kurma vapushaha nishvasavatormayaha yadvikshepana samskruto dhadipayah premkhoda paryankika nityarohana nirvrito viharate deva sahaiva shriya. As the churning happened, now the mountain started pushing itself upwards. So somebody had to stop it from the top. Bhagavan took another avataram called Ajit. Tala Kshitirati vipula kare keshava tishtati tava prishthe dharani dharanakina chakragarishte Keshavadhrita Kachaparupa. So Ajita Avataram, Kurma Avataram, churning happened. Now as the churning continued, Airavatam, Uchai Shravas, that was a Ashvam. then Chintamani, Kamadhenu, Kalpaka Vriksham, whatever was lost by Indra, he regained. Next came the sheen of the moon. See, moon lost its sheen because moon is a sign of knowledge. Because we say, right, Chandrama Manaso Jataha. That is why in Jyotishya Shastram, in one's horoscope, moon's position will determine their mental stability. If moon is not in a very good position in a Jatakam, there can be chances of mental instability, depression. All this will come because of Chandra's position. And if Chandra and Brihaspati are in the same house, then you check that second and the 12th position for the togetherness of the couple. If they are not, if Kemadruma Yogam comes, then there will be separation. In Rama's Jatakam, Chandra and Brihaspati were in the same house. Tatascha Dvadashe Mase Chaitre Navamiketidau Nakshatre Aditi Daivatye Svocha Samstheshu Panchasu Graheshu Karkate Lagne Vakpata Induna Saha. Vakpati is Brihaspati, Indu is Chandra, they were in the same house. Second and 12th Kemadruma Yogam in Jatakam. So Rama missed Kemadruma Yogam by a thin rope. That is why he never had permanent separation, but he will often be separated from Sita. So Jyotishya Shastram is very important. That is why on Amavasya and the Paurnima day, they say that the nature of people will change because Chandra's effect is at the highest. So Chandra position is very important for Buddhi. Chandra Mamana Sojataha. That is why Andal says, recite my Pasura Margadi Tingal Madi Nirainda Nannadal. She gives Madi Nirainda Nannal Tingal, where moon is deployed. Moon is very important. See, Jyotishya Shastram is a separate topic. Beautifully they have analyzed how grahams work. Now, Chandra lost his sheen. That is why Chandra is a very effective component for the love of a couple. See, most of the novels that we read, where the Nayaka talks to the Nayaki, he will always compare her. Oh, Chandra, you have face that is akin to the full moon. Will he ever say, Surya, your face is like sun? No. So Chandra should come. Nindati Chandanam Indu Kirana Manu Vindati Khedam Adhiram Niladevam Padra Surya Nevan Padra. That's Tamil Nadu Surya. Chandra da Madam. So Chandra is very important. Even though Rama was born in Surya Vamsha, he is called Ramachandra. So Chandra came, he got back his sheen, then he became the Abharanam to Shiva. Shankara Bharanani Alai Todi Vadi Kalyani Darbarke Shankara Bharanani Alai Todi Vadi Kalyani Darbarke. So Shankara Bharanam happened. Then after that, who came? Lakshmi. Lakshmi emerged because she is the sign of auspiciousness that was lost. She was gained. So she emerged. Lakshmi. Kshira Samudra Raja Tanayam. She emerged. Now in this Avataram, see, Mahalakshmi is permanently there. Nitya Vesha, Jaganmata, Vishnu Shri Ranapalini, Devatve, Devadeheyam, Manushyatve cha Manushi. But she took an Avataram now as a daughter of the ocean king. And she emerged. Now the father asks, whom will you marry? So Purandaradasa makes this into a beautiful kriti. Kshirabdhi Kanige Shri Mahalakshmi Yarike Vadhuva Guve Ninyavna Madhuve Matkotimma. Whom will you marry? Badarika Shramada Narayananigo. Will you marry Narayana of Badarika Ashramam? Badarika Ashramam is Badrinath. Will you marry Badrinath? She said, Papa, what cold. Che Mahina. You know, after Deepavali till Akshay Tritiya, people come down to Dehradun. Nahi, Papa, ये क्या है, कवच कुंडल डाल के सभी मैं तो नहीं कर सकती हूँ. नहीं पप्पा. Will you marry Ramachandra? Ayodhya da Ramachandra Murti ko. My dear, finally he has got a house for me. So will you marry? You don't fikr mat karo December 6th ke bare mein. Will you marry? No, Papa. Why, Mahalakshmi? Why? Because he's engaged only to Sita. So what? See, Shurpanaka came and proposed. She lost her nose. I don't want any material damage. Pandarapurada Vithalarayanigo. Will you marry Vithala of Pandarpur? So smart. Makara Kundalam. अमृताउनी गोढ नाम तुझे देवा, नाम तुझे देवा, मन माझे केशवा, काबाने घे, काबाने घे. नाही नाही माझा आणिके सुयारा, नगरी अवहेरा पांडुरंगा. He holds his hand, he's very smart. Why don't you marry Mr. Vittal? She asked, Papa, what does Vittal mean? The one who stands on one brick. Vittal. I will not marry, Papa. Will you marry Purushottama Kshetrada Jagannathanigo? Purushottama Kshetra is Puri. Will you marry Jagannath of Puri? Nahi, Papa. Why? Sister-in-law is there. Subhadra is also there. Kalyana poyedala pura raatodana. So, nahi Papa. Will you marry Tirumala Venkatarayanigo? Forbes list. Rich man. He's very close to Mukesh. So, can you... Will you marry Venkateshwara Swami of Tirumala? Papa, to see my own husband, I have to buy one VIP ticket. And the magical Telugu words will come, Jaragandi. Swami, nenu Bharya, nenu Dharmapatni. Time is not there. No, Papa, I don't want such a busy husband. Will you marry Guruvayurappa? ചക്കൈ കിട്ടും, പിന്നെ അടപ്രഥമൻ കിട്ടും, മുളകൂട്ടം കിട്ടും, ആളം കിട്ടും, ഓണം കിട്ടും അല്ലേ. പാൽ പായസം, അമ്പലപ്പുഴത്തിന്റെ പാൽ പായസം കിട്ടും. എന്താ ഒരു ടേസ്റ്റ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള ആ പാൽ പായസം കിട്ടും മോളെ. അവിടെ പോവാം. ഗുരുവായൂർ എത്രയേറ്റവും ഒരു സൗന്ദര്യമായിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു മാപ്പിള്ളയാണ്. Everything is fine, Appa, but I am 2 feet, that is 1 foot. Will you marry Parthasarathi of Triplicane, Chennai? I want clean shaven face. Mustache. Will you marry Ranganatha of Sri Lanka? Good choice. Lakshmi Kshira Samudra Rajatanayam Shri Rangadhamishwarim Dasi Bhuta Samasta Deva Vanitam Lokaika Deepam Kuram Shriman Mandakataksha Labda Vibhavat Brahmendra Gangadharam Tvam Trailokya Kutumbinim Sarasijam Vande Mukunda Priyam. So Mahalakshmi married Ranganatha. Will it stop there? No. After Mahalakshmi's emergence, Dhanavantri, Bhagavan's Avataram as a physician. Physician is Bishak in Sanskritam. He came as Bishak, holding the Amrita Kalasham. What is Amritam? Amar Chitra Katha says, if you drink, you will become immortal. Don't go by it. In Sanatana Dharma, when you are born, you have to die. Lifespans may vary. Dog may die at 10 years, we may die at 80 years, tortoise may die in 120 years, but if you are born, you have to die. Amritam will never give immortality. Amritam is called Rasayanam in Ayurveda Shastram. If you consume, you will look young and your longevity will increase. 70 will become 90. 90 will become 110. There will be no wrinkles. It is that anti-wrinkle cream. After foundation, you apply and push it upwards. Right? There you apply eyeshadow. Below is a foundation. So you do all this, right? That the looking young. See, you may not be young, to look young. I don't know, whoever it is, that Mahanubhava, you should not ask somebody's age. What is all this? We should be proud in saying, because as we say our age, that means we are going closer to Bhagavan. Whoever gave all these cliched statements, don't ask somebody of their age and somebody of their salary. What is all this? We don't have to ask salary, but age and all, no problem. This is my opinion, because Shastram says you should wait for the day when Atma leaves your body. Many people will always take efforts to look young. I don't know. Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Maranam, Punarapi Janani, Jathare Shayanam. Whom do we have to look young for? So, Rasayanam is Amritam. So, Dhanavantri carried. Bhagavan took the other Avataram, Dhanavantri. Now the Devas and Asuras started chasing. That is when Bhagavan took another beautiful Avataram called Mohini. Brahma wondered, so beautiful. She is surely not my creation. He knew his quality of creation was not so good. She looks naturally beautiful. How is this? Then the feet revealed. She had feet that were akin to the petals of a newly blossomed lotus. He knew Karara Vindena Padara Vindam, it is Narayana. Mohini was so beautiful, the Devas and Asuras were mesmerized. Puranam says that they were in rows. One particular Asura called Viprachitti noticed that Bhagavan was giving Rasayanam to Devas and H2O distilled water to the Asuras. So he moved rows. Bhagavan noticed with his eyes that were akin to Chandra and Surya. When he drank, he was beheaded. Then it is believed in certain Puranas that the snake became the head and the body. That is termed as Rahu and Ketu. But some of the mathematicians in the 6th century called Lalla deny the concept of Navagrahas. They say only there are 7. Rahu and Ketu are at most to be described as demons who possess the shadows during Grahana Kalam and not as full Grahas. But later, Dikshitar Sishyas wrote Kritis on Rahu and Ketu. So Rahu and Ketu were formed, then says one Purana. So in this Avataram, the objective was Bhagavan does it start to end. He brought the mountain, he churned the mountains, he gave energy to the Devas and Asuras, he became the Kurma, he became Ajita, he became Dhanavantri, he became Mohini, thereby saying all our activities may look as if we are performing, but he is the Antaryami to all of this. This is the greatness of Kurma Avataram. Towards the end of Kurma Avataram, the Devas under the leadership of Indra and Asuras under the leadership of Mahabali, Bali Chakravarti. They had a war. And in that war, the Asuras were defeated and Bali was close to dying. That is when Shukracharya, their guru, he took away Bali from the battlefield and gave treatment to him through a mantram called Sanjeevani. Shakrena Sanyati Bali Sahatopi Balir Mahatma Shukrena Jivita Tanuhu Kratu Vardhitoshma Vikrantiman Bhayanilina Suram Trilokim Chakre Vashe Satava Chakra Mukhada Bhitaha. So he attached great importance to his Acharya, because Shukracharya was the one who rejuvenated Bali. So Bali was extremely devoted to his Acharya. That is why Bhattatri says Balir Mahatma. Bali became a Mahatma because of this, because of Guru Bhakti. Tyagaraja says, Karu kaina kridroga muduga kana mupeti guru leka yetu banti guniki teliyaka podu sadguru leka yetu banti. Without a guru, see what it essentially means is, a guru will clear your doubts. There will be many cryptic statements. I'll just give you an example. Last year, day 6, I told you this, in 2022 August. Shurpanaka comes and expresses her love, proposes to Rama. Then Rama tries convincing her that he is not interested, but this lady is not listening. That is when he says, you go propose to my brother. Why? He says in that Ramayana Shlokam, Akritadaraha, the one without a wife. Go to my brother who is the one without a wife. Was he without a wife? देखिए सर, मैंने बोल रहा था ना राम झूठ बोलेंगे, मुझे पता था ये लोग ऐसा ही बोलते हैं, राम झूठे थे, मुझे पता है Immediately that will be the conclusion. That is what William Jonas in 1786 translated. Rama said, oh, the one without a wife. But in poetry it is called as deleting or including letters. You have to fit to a meter. In poetry it happens. So these many letters have to come in a line. So when you know something worldwide acclaimed that he was married, and when you know that his wife was not dead then, it means he was married. He had a wife. So Akrita Daraha, you have to add the two letters while reading called a Sahakrita Daraha, the one who didn't have a wife along. So this is where Acharya comes into picture. Otherwise we will have wrong meaning of it. Guru leka yetu vanti guni kitteliyaga podu sa Guru leka yetu vanti tanu suta dhanadhara dayadi bandhavula janinchi chedaru jani mahimato. So Guru is very important, says Tyagaraja. Vijaya Vitthaladasa says, Garuvarahitava Madiye Nanu Purave Bharavu Nimmade Shri Guru Purandara Dasare Nimma Charana Kamalava. Vijaya Vitthaladasa says that the importance of a guru is Garuvarahitava Madi. Madhura Kaviyalvar says, Annayayatana yennayandidum tanmayan Shadagopan yennambiye nambinen pirar nanporul tannayum Nambinen madavarayum munnelam Shembon maadathirukkurugur nambikku Anmanayadiyen sadirte nindre Indru thottum elmai embiran நின்று தன் புகழ் வேத்தவருளினான் குன்றமாட திருக்குருகூர் நம்பிக்கு. Madhura Kaviyalvar says, I don't believe in Krishna, I believe in Nammalvar who believed in Krishna, Guru. So Acharya Anugraham is very important. Siddham Satsampradaye Sthiradhyam Anagham Shrotriyam Brahmanishtam Sattvastam Satyavacham Samaya Niyataya Sadhuritya Sametam Damba Suyadi Muktam Nija Vishaiganam Dirghavandum Dayalum Skaditye Shasitaram Vasati Hitaparam Deshikam Bhupsiripse, says Vedanta Deshika. 16 qualities a guru should have. That is the greatness of an Acharya. So that Acharya was Shukra to the Asuras. So Bali Chakravarti believed in Shukra, Balir Mahatma. Shakrena Sanyati Hatopi Balir Mahatma Shukrena Jivita Tanuhu Kratu Vardhitoshma. He did one Yagam Kratu to rejuvenate Bali, and Bali became the king. Now Bali, in order to avenge the death of many of his Asuras, started misappropriating wealth. He started buying shares at SEBI window closing. If you buy such shares, then SEBI will come. SEBI is one monitoring body in Bharata Desham. I don't know what is equivalent here. Take care. Yesha viprabalo darkaha sampratyurjita vikramaha tesha amavapamanena sanubandho vinakshati. Again Indra became poor. Yedayoni. He went and told his mother. Mother said, every now and then you are becoming poor. Kashyap ji iska to thoda hal nikaliye. That is when Kashyapa said, mother, you have to pray to Bhagavan that he is born through a vratam called Chandrayanam. See, today I spoke a lot about Chandra. There are 3 words. Chandrayan. You heard it recently? Where is the Chandrayan? We sent one vehicle to the south pole of the moon. Yana in Sanskrit means vehicle. Vehicle to Chandra is Chandrayan. Chandrayanam is the next word. Chandrayanam means the vratam which is based on the moon's movement. So we have 2 pakshas, Shukla Paksha and Krishna Paksha. Waxing phase, waning phase. So you begin with so much of food, keep on reducing the food. The food quantity reduces like this. Then from the next paksha, you have to keep on increasing. So it's called Pipilika Vratam. It will look like an ant. Chandrayanam. There is another word called Chandramanam. Chandramanam is a panchangam where we follow, especially in Telugu and Kannada speaking deshams, they follow the moon's movement. That is why Yugadi is everything based on moon. That is why if you see the muhurtams for Telugu and Kannada, especially Telugu people, it will be in the mid of the night. Whereas Tamil Nadu and Kerala, Bengal, they all follow the Shauramanam. So morning 4 o'clock, Brahma Muhurtam will be the marriage. So it's called Chandramanam, Chandrayanam, Chandrayanam. 3 words I've introduced. Now she observed Chandrayanam, the Vratam. For that there is a shlokam Sini Valya Mrida Lipya Snayat Kroda Vidirnaya Yadi Labhyeta Vaistrotam Yetam Mantramudirayet Tvam Devya Divarahena Rasaya Sthanamichata Udhritasi Namastubhyam Papmanam Me Pranashaya. See, Bhagavatam has lot of Vedic words. He says, Tvam Devi Devyadi Varahena Udhritasi Namastubhyam. Adivarahena Udhritasi. Can anyone tell me one mantra associated with these 2 words? Adivarahena, Varahena, Udhritasi. This is a Vedic mantra. There is a mantra called Udhritasi Varahena Krishnena Shatabahuna. So that Udhritasi Varahena mantra has been infused by Shuka in Bhagavatam. So the rule was you have to take the sand, earth, tilled with the damstras of a wild boar, apply it on your body and do this particular vratam. She did that. Then towards, after finishing this vratam by Bhagavan's grace, the Dampati were to be blessed by Bhagavan, so she was pregnant. Then at the end of her gestation period, she delivered. What is this? Tvam Kashyape tapasi sannidhattadanim Praptosi garbhamadite pranuto vidhatra prasuta cha prakata vaishnava divya rupam sadvadasi shravana punyadine bhavantam. She delivered a boy with extreme resplendence and radiance on his face, emanating radiance. This boy was extremely beautiful to look at, very short. He was born on the nakshatram of Shravanam. See, we have 27 nakshatras. How many of you have Shravana nakshatram here? Any Shravanas here? Shravana is the nakshatram of Narayana. So, Tvam Kashyape tapasi sannidhattadanim praptosi garbhamadite pranuto vidhatra prasuta cha prakata vaishnava divya rupam sadvadasi shravana punyadine bhavantam. So Shravanam, see, in the 27 nakshatras, we have slightly different names given in the languages. In Tamil, there are 2 nakshatras which have Mahalakshmi's association. Shravanam is called Tiruvonam. And Ardra, any Ardra nakshatras here? Ardra is Tiruvadirai. So Tiruvonam and Tiruvadirai. Tiru is there. So this boy who was born as Bhagavan's Avataram to Aditi and Kashyapa was born in the nakshatram of Shravanam. What is Shravanam? Tiruvonam. That Tiruvonam became Onam, the festival. Vamana Jayanti is Onam. Where was Varaha born? Vamana born? Vamana was born to Aditi and Kashyapa in Siddhashramam, which is in Bihar. Later he went to Bali Chakravarti's Yagavatika in the northern banks of Narmada in a place called Brugukacham, which was called Bharuch, Gujarat. So from Bihar he went to Gujarat. Allah sare Keralam evadana God's own country alle. Keralam action replay ആണ്. ഈ അവതാരം കഴിച്ചിട്ട് after this avataram, the rishis in a kshetram called Trikkarkara north of Ernakulam, Cochin, wanted to have a glimpse of Vamana avataram in their yogic vision. So Bhagavan gave an action replay. So that is how it became. Because see, after Vamana avataram, in Rama avataram times, Parashurama reclaimed the land called as Parashurama Kshetram. How can that avataram happen before the reclamation? So it is Trikarkara. Trikarkara is a kshetram. That's an important divyadesham for the Vaishnavas. Go to Ernakulam. North of Ernakulam is Trikarkara. That's called Vamana Kshetram. That is where Onam was first celebrated. In that kshetram, there was a farmer. He wanted Vamana's eye glance to fall on his fruit. because he wanted a good yield. So Bhagavan's Netra Darshanam fell on the fruit. Fruit is Param. Netra Param became Nendram Param. You know that Nendram chips? We know that chips is Nendram Param. And the Janichadi Kshetramana. Manasila Korapamile. If in now let's come to the non-Korapam Avataram. So Vamana was born. What was his name? Vamana. No, it cannot be Vamana. Vamana means short, dwarf. No mother will call dwarf. Have you heard of that Pani Vellai and Yelukullam? Snow White and Seven. So, the mother will not call her son dwarf. Which mother will call? What was his name given as per the birth certificate? Upendra. Upendro Vamana Pramshuhu Amogha Shushirurjitaha Upendra. But he was so short that Alvar, the mystic poet, says that there was a WhatsApp group for the short people in this world. They all assembled and looked at the boy. Itna chota hai, iska kaise shaadi hoga? They wondered. So the dwarfs wondered he was a dwarf. So he was that short. See, medical practitioners, great. I'm sure there'll be great people here. They will tell you about glands. Pituitary gland that is responsible for the growth in the individual. If it malfunctions, dysfunctions, either it can result in dwarfism or gigantism. So dwarfism, dwarf, when it malfunctions, they will remain short. This boy was short. Now, as this boy expressed great resplendence in learning, Upanayanam was to be performed. Which age do you perform Upanayanam? We don't perform it ourselves. Waste of money, na? 7. But Shastram says 8th year, which means 1 year is spent in the Garbham, 9 months in the mother. Prior to that, 3 months. A motile, mature sperm takes 60 to 90 days to fertilize. So that 3 plus 9, 1 year plus 7. So 7th year, Upanayanam has to be performed. But there is an exception. If the child expresses immense capacity to pronounce Ucharanam, then you can do at the age of 5. If the child is capable of pronunciation. But pronunciation is not made a prerequisite for Upanayanam, then many people can never get it done. So Upanayanam was to be performed. That is when Kashyapa arranged for the Upanayanam. Brihaspati, he gave the sacred thread. Kashyapa gave the sacred cord. Bhumi Devi gave the deer skin, Krishnajinam. Because for meditation, it was recommended by the rishis that you sit on Krishnajinam. Soma, Chandra gave the staff, Dandam. Dhyauhu gave the umbrella. Brahma gave the Kamandalam. Saptarishi gave the Kusha grass. Kusha grass is Darbha. Saraswati gave the Akshamala. Kubera was a private lender in those days. What did he give? He gave Bhiksha Patra. You go to a private lender, this is what you have to pay. Uma. Now, in a Upanayanam, the mother has the right to give the first Bhiksha. Mate e plavati Bhiksha am dehi. So, she gives the first Bhiksha. But Aditi said, Uma, Parvati, you give the first Bhiksha. So, Uma gave the first Bhiksha. Now, Bhagavan has to restore the wealth and the riches for his brother Indra. As he leaves, he has to leave the Yajnavatika. He takes the Chatram, Kamandalam, all of this and walks towards Bhrugu Kacham Baruch. He wonders, he has to go as a brahmachari, but in his chest is Mahalakshmi. If he says, Mahalakshmi, thoda utar jao, ek din ke baad baith jana. No! I will not move. So, she sits in his heart. How can he cover? That is when he uses the Krishnajinam. Bhikshochitam prakatayan prathamashramatvam Krishnajinam yavanikam kritavam priyaya. He covers his chest with the deer skin. That is a yavanika. Yavanika means curtain. In Telugu Bhasha, it is marugu. That is why Sita looks at Rama and says, Marugo Elara Raghava. In Telugu Paddhati, they'll put one screen in the middle. So Sita says, why this Marugu? I want to see you, Rama. Marugelara, Marugela Chara Chara Rupa, Marugelara. Why this Yavanika? So he draws a Yavanika, Mahalakshmi's pipi. He said, go inside, because if Mahalakshmi keeps looking at Bali, he can never become poor. Attittagalada bhaktaramanaiyolu nitya Mahotsavam nitya sumangala satyavatoru vasadu sajjanara sidadigolayuva puttadi bomme bhagyada. He'll keep becoming rich. So Vishnu said, mat dekhna usse, andar jao. So Vamana goes to the Yajnavatika of Bali. Bali is done with giving all the alms whatever people had sought. Well, they were pack up. This boy entered. Bali heard only the audio, no video. He went inside, there was a small boy. Beta, tumhe kya chahiye? I just want 3 measures of land, Bali. 3 measures of land. Vindhyavali, he called his wife. Get those papers of Matunga, Basungdi, Pallikaranai, wherever it was flooded the last time. So, he said, I will give this to you. But Vamana said, I will measure it only. As this promise was being made, Shukracharya came running. He held Bali's hand and took him away and said, Bali, as I speak to you, don't turn to the boy. Don't turn. Just keep listening. What did that boy ask? Guru, he asked for 3 measures of land. And what did you say? I promised that I will give. No, go back to him and say, I'll get back to you shortly. Why? Because this is the boy who came as Narasimha and tore open the stomach of one of your ancestors. This boy, don't turn. Just keep listening. Ajao. Usko bol do. Guru, I can never do that. If Bhagavan is also coming at my doorstep, I've promised, I've committed, I have to fulfill that promise. No, don't. I will go, Guru. If you are going, despite my warning, you will lose all your wealth. This was what Bhagavan was waiting for the Shishya to antagonize his Guru. Then only the downfall will begin. So, as an understanding, waters had to be poured. When waters had to be poured, that side somebody is talking. So, here, when Vamana was promised and Bali Chakravarti had agreed, Shukracharya stopped. Meanwhile, Shukra, through his Dharmabhuta Jnanam, pervaded a bumblebee. And that stopped the water from Kamandalu coming, because Kamandalu waters were an understanding that waters when poured, which means land will be given. When water was poured, water did not come. He said, immediately call the plumber. Vamana said, I've got a toolkit. He took the darbha grass, inserted it. What is that darbha grass? Sudarshana. Shukiran kannai turumbal kilariya Chakkarakayyane acho says Periyalvar. That hurt the eye of the bee. Thereby Shukra lost one eye. That is why Dikshithar says Keshava Katakshaika Netram. Kataksha Eka Netram. Bhagavan took grace and left one eye, it seems. Keshava Katakshaika Netram Sri Shukra Bhagavantam. He applied for Shankar Netralaya that day. But I need an eye. So, now, as he poured the waters, Vamana accepted. Bali gave that Kamandalu to Vindhyavali. He saw some shadow enveloping him. He turned this side, the boy started growing. Without his dhoti tearing. As he grew, he kept on growing. In Harikatha we say, Valandunde pona. But that is not the way poets describe. See, you cannot literally translate everything from your regional language to another language. जैसे कि हम हिंदी में बोलते हैं सुबह सुबह मैं आया, मॉर्निंग मॉर्निंग आई केम. Doesn't make any sense. So வளர்ந்துட்டே போனார். He grew and grew and grew. You cannot use so many ands in one sentence. Renan Martin chapter 5. So how do we do? Vedanta Deshika, my hero says something. He says bhakta priyatvai tatha parivartamane muktavitana vitatistava purvamasit. When Bhagavan initially was there in the Yajnavartika, the constellation of stars looked like a canopy over his head. When he grew, that became his necklace. When he grew further, it became his girdle. When he grew further, it became his anklet. So these are vernier calipers. You keep one fixed and the other one moving. One is a variable, the other is a constant in algebra, right? So Bhagavan is the variable. The stars are a constant. So they were a canopy, necklace, girdle, anklet. He grew. Vedanta Deshika says this is how he grew. Beautiful description. But there is a technical problem here. What fits as a necklace need not fit as a girdle. You need 15-20 necklaces to become one girdle. If you go to any shop, floor number 3 in GRT, if you go there, there is one great Bhagavatha Sapthaham called Usman. Have you heard of Usman? North Usman Road will have 21 gold shops. Kali Purusha stays there. Joy Notarika, Joss Notarika, Lalita Parameshwari is there. All of them will say, now they will first to get the Uddiyanam girdle, they will measure your hip. Inge Notararamchi Shuddhi Pradakshina. Hoppa! Okka Pradakshina I am going to. So you will measure the hip. So essentially the hip and the neck cannot be the same. Take it this way. The hip size neck will be. The reverse may not be true. Vice versa need not be true. But the point is, Samudrika Lakshana Shastram, there is a shlokam for the man and the woman, the neck size should be the same as the hip, it seems. So you buy a necklace, a choker. Imagine you are buying a Navaratna choker with matte finish. You can take that and fit that as your girdle the next day. That thin the hip should be. Quinoa, brown rice, black rice, ella rice you put. Whatever you do, you. See, have you heard of Thiruvalluvar? That Thiruvalluvar has composed 1330 couplets called as Kural. Thirukural. Thirukural. Kural. 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 Now in that there is a portion called Kamatupal. What milk, sir? This is not that milk. It is the essence of Shringaram. In that Thiruvalluvar gives one description. Thiruvalluvar with his friend. They were walking by the streets of Mylapore. Afternoon. Mylapore streets you will get fresh vegetables. So they were walking. In one house, arrangements were being made for a dead body to be carried. He immediately asked, who is dead? That is when the person said, the young 16-year girl is dead. How did she die? The person says, she along with her friend went to a garden close by this morning. She wanted to adorn her beautiful, fragrant, curly headdresses with the flowers. So she plucked the flower called Anichappu with the stalk. As she plucked the flower with the stalk, and she placed it in her headdresses, unable to withstand the weight of the stalk, her hip broke and she died. Thiruvalluvar says, Anichappu, what does it imply? The implication is the hip should be so thin that it should not be even able to withstand the weight of the stalk of a flower. As you keep the entire Appalachian mountain, nothing will happen. So Bhagavan was so pretty that he measured. Now when he measured the worlds, he took one step upwards. It went till Satyaloka. Saraswati told Brahmaji, आपके पिता आ रहे हैं. पिता? नारायण आ रहे हैं. Your end Brahma, remember? Narayana Brahma Jayate. I am his daughter-in-law. Dikshitar says, Sharajyotsna Shuddham Shashivadanam Kashmira Nagara Viharam Para Sharadam Parankushadhara Varada Bhaya Pasha Pustaka Kara Surachita Padamuja Shobhana Shveta Pankajasana Surasana Purari Guru Hridaya Ranjani Murari Snusha Niranjani Kalavati Murari Snusha. Snusha means daughter-in-law. She is the Susha of Murari. So she said, your father is coming. Do Argyam Padhyam Achamaniyam. He took the Kamandalam and poured the waters of Ganga on Narayana's foot. So that measured the upper worlds. The next foot measured the earth. How was the earth in comparison to Bhagavan's foot? See, when we cook, both the man or the woman, whoever cooks, in Dakshina Bharatiya food, towards the end, there is a process of tempering it with some mustard. Most of the dishes. We take some oil, good oil, and then we put some mustard. Immediately the mustard will start crackling. And there will be mustard all over the stove and some on the ground. And we will be having one Karana Kavacham, apron. And we will be walking over that mustard which would have fallen on the kitchen floor, not cognizant that that mustard would have stuck to our foot. No, we won't realize. It is so small. Later, 12 o'clock, we may have an online Zoom yoga class. So we put the yoga mat, Painahapai Virithukul. Then we will extend our legs. We show our leg there. Paradarshana. The teacher will say, "Oh, kya hai? Beauty spot." Beauty spot nahi adala en godamla illave illaiya. And the kadu. So only when somebody points out to us, we will realize that there is a mustard attached to our foot. Bhumi was like a mustard to Bhagavan's foot. Says Parashara Bhatta. He measured the earth, he measured the upper worlds. How many steps left? 1. What did Bali do? He gave his head, sir. आपको ये भी पता नहीं है ये लोग temple लोग आपको बुला रहे हैं. Third measure he gave his head, sir. But there is a legal problem here. When the earth was measured, where was Bali? On earth. So earth inclusive of Bali has been measured. How can he offer his head again? Correct. So there was a problem. What did he offer? See, in 1950s, 60s, I'm talking 70, 80 years back. I'm sure some of the elderly people here can relate to it, not so much the youngsters. So when families were large, 6 sons, 4 daughters, the first 2 daughters married, the sons-in-law staying in the very house, and some of them were used to throwing tantrums. Such sons-in-law also existed. So people used to be extremely, first they will say, so they will ask all these questions. So imagine I have to invite those inmates of the house for a function in my house. Today we are in a very advanced world. We make one online invite. There is on Picasso.com. We give RSVP. Please let us know whether you... And then now you can also tell them what gifts you want. In my marriage, I had 25 wall clocks. What will I do? So I give it back to the same people for their family function. So, that is why whenever I go to any organization, here I have come for speaking, Bharata Desham, I have 200 lectures. Every organizer, my rule sheet will go, no shawl. They will give one bright yellow full of jali, that shawl, waste. Shunappuchamivavattam pandityam dambhavarjitam. You cannot use that even for your enemy. 1 year, if I get 250 shawls, 13 years I have spoken. Imagine 5,000 shawls. What will I do? If Draupadi asks for help, I can. Tima shawl. Draupadi, lelo shawl. So, see, all always gift people what they will use. Don't discard something from your house and dump it on somebody else. It's wrong. So Bhagava, so you go in the 1950s, 60s, you used to go house after house. And you had to invite, you will carry one sari, one dhoti, and then you have to take that handwritten invitation and then say respectfully, Srimad Vedamarga Pratisthapana. In Sri Vaishnava Iyengar invitation, it will be one side bright yellow, the other side bright pink. The person who has designed this must have lacked aesthetics or Srimad Vedamarga Pratishthapanacharyarai Shanta Shamadamadi Asankheya Kalyana Gunangal Sampurnarai Elundarulirukkakoodiya Swamiyin Sannidhiyil Adiyen Taalum Tadakkaiyum Kuppicheyum Vinyapanam Ubhaya Kushalopari Kshemam Inganam ஐயம்பேட்டை அண்ணாத்து ஐயங்காரின் தௌஹித்ரனும் வளையப்பேட்டை ராமாச்சாரியரின் புத்திரனும் அடியேனுடைய சீமந்த புத்திரன் கனிஷ்ட குமாரனுமான அபர்யாப்தாமிருதம் என்கின்ற கிம்முக்கு திருவிசைநல்லூர் ஸ்ரீனிவாச சாஸ்திரிகளின் பௌத்ரியும் அடியேனுடைய குமாரத்தையும் ஆன அபித குச்சாம்பா என்கின்ற நிஷாவிற்கு நிஷா அந்த நிஷாக்கே தெரியாது அபித குச்சாம்பா ஆச்சாரியர்களை முன்னிட்டு தாங்கள் வந்து எம்எல்எம் கல்யாண மண்டபம் மகாலிங்கபுரத்தில் வந்து நடத்தி கொள்ளுமாறு பிரார்த்தனை அபராத தோஷா க்ஷந்தவ்யா. Nobody would have read the entire invitation. This is the invitation. Now, 70 years back, they used to go to the house and they used to say, please come. After they leave, there will be a discussion in the house. Who will go? First, they will ask the son-in-law, Maapla, neenga porilla. Why should I go? Why should I go? Did they invite me? You know, they said all of you are invited. They said all of you are invited. Did they invite me? That ahankaram, that I am not a part of you, was what Bali, when Bhagavan measured earth, he said he has measured the earth, not me. That ahankaram was pushed in the third step. ஓங்கி உலகளந்த உத்தமன் பேர் பாடி அம்பரமே தண்ணீரே சோரே அறம் செய்யும் எம்பெருமானந்த கோபால எழுந்திராய் கொம்பனார்கில்லா கொழுந்தே குலவிளக்கு எம்பெருமாண்டி அசோதாய் அறிவுராய் அம்பரம் ஊடு அறுத்து ஓங்கி உலகளந்த உம்பகோமானே அன்று இவ்வுலகம் அளந்தாய் அடி போற்றி. So Vamana came and measured as Trivikrama. That is why we use these names. Achyutaya Namaha, Anantaya Namaha, Govindaya Namaha, Keshavaya Namaha, Narayana Namaha, Madhavaya Namaha, Govindaya Namaha, Vishnave Namaha, Madhusudanaya Namaha, Trivikramaya Namaha, Vamanaya Namaha. In Sandhyavandanam, whoever performs, whenever they perform, how much ever they remember, in that it will come as Trivikramaya Namaha. So Vamanavataram was narrated. That is when Parikshit asked, sir, my question was different. I asked about the one who protected me. Draunyaastra viplushta midam madangam santana bijam kuru pandavanam jugopa kukshim gatiyatta chakraha matushchamiya sharanam gatayaha. I asked about Krishna. You described about Matsya Avataram, Kurma Avataram, Varaha Avataram, Nrisimha Avataram, Vamana Avatam, Parashurama Avataram, Rama Avataram, Dakshayajnam, Prutucharitram, Dhruvacharitram, Chitraketu Upakhyanam, Ambarisha Charitram, Ajamilo Upakhyanam, Jadabharata Charitram, Santana Gopala. All this you have described. Tell me about Krishna. If there is one narration in the entire Sanatana Dharma which has been unanimously celebrated, acclaimed, cherished, relished, loved, revered, worshipped across the span of the Indian subcontinent, is Krishna. Madhusudana Saraswati says he was a great scholar in Bangadesham. Bangadesham is Bengal. He gave a work called Advaita Siddhi. For him, everything was Nirguna Brahman, Brahman without qualities. Interviewer went and interviewed. Nation wants to know. मधुसूदन जी, आप जब आंख बंद करते हो तो आपके दिव्य दृष्टि में कौन आता है? सर्वम ब्रह्ममय. नहीं, I want a name. The nation wants to know. Asked Arnav. You know what Madhusudana Saraswati has written? After writing Advaita Siddhi, he says, Krishna param tattvam aham na jani. One thing that I know is there is no one greater than Krishna. Sadashiva Brahmendra, a great Avadhuta sannyasi, Sarvam Brahmamayam, he sang. When people asked him, who comes to your mind when you close your eyes, he says, I see a beautiful boy with curly hair tresses with a string of pearls and beautiful bunch of peacock feathers. Madashiki pincha alankrita chikure mahaniya kapola vijita mugure manasa sancharale Brahmani manasa sancharale Brahmani manasa sancharale. Vyasaraya says, Kashi pitambara Kayalli kodalu bhushida Shri Gandha Mayola Gamune Krishna ni begane baro. Purandaradasa says, Mella mella ni bandani gopyamma kele. Kanakadasa says, Baro Krishnaya Ninna Bhaktara Manegira. One poet in Malayalam says, Innum Guruvayuril Toludu Nilkumbol Munnilor Unni Undennu Thonnum Unni Punchirittu Kunnadayum Thonnum Toludu Madangumboൾ ഇനി എന്നോ വരുമെന്നോർ അശരീരി കേൾക്കുന്നതായും തോന്നും. ഊത്തുക്കാട് കവി says, അറിവെനു നന്ദവനമലന്തമാമലരേ മണമുഹന്ത നറുമണമേ മനമലൈந்து മകരന്തം തனை நாடி வரும் பண்ணுஹந்த கருவண்டெனும் தீங்குழலே குழலிசையே அறவேறி நடமாடும் அரசே என்னுயிரே. Look at the words. அறிவெனும் நந்தவனமலர்ந்த மாமலரே மணமுகந்த நறுமணமே மனமலைந்து மகரந்தம் தன நாடி வரும் பண்ணுகந்த கருவண்டெனும் திங்குழலே குழலிசையே அறவேறி நடமாடும் அரசே என் உயிரே உன் புகழ் ராஜகோபாலா. ஊத்துக்காடு கவி. ஆழ்வார் நம்மாழ்வார் சேஸ், உண்ணும் சோறும் பருகும் நீர் தின்னும் வெற்றிலையும் எல்லாம் கண்ணன். அன்னமாச்சாரியா சேஸ், కాళింగుని తలలపైన కప్పిన పుష్యరాగము ఏలేటి శ్రీ వెంకటాద్రి ఇంద్రనీలము బాలజల నిధిలోన పాయని దివ్యరత్నము బాలుని వలు తిరిగే పద్మనాభుడు ముద్దుగారే 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 యశోద. మీరా సేస్, మోరేతో గిరిధర గోపాల. Who has not celebrated Krishna? All the ragas prostrate at his feet, says the Kavi. Natara vibhupada bilahari maya madava gaula asaveri saveri shuddha saveri devagandhari धन्यासी बेगड़ हिंदुस्तानी कापी तोड़ी नाटकुरंजी श्री राग सहाना अटाणा सारंगी दरबारु पंतुवराळि भराळि कल्याणि भूरि कल्याणि यमुना कल्याणि हुशेनी झंझोटी कौमारी कन्नड खरहर प्रिया कलहंस नाद नाम क्रिया मुखारी तोड़ी पुन्नाग वराळि कांभोधि भैरवी यदुकुल कांभोधि आनंद भैरवी शंकराभरण मोहन रे गुप्ति सौराष्ट्री नीलांबरी गुणक्रिया मेघगर्जनी हंसध्वनि शोकवराळि मध्यमावती जंजुरुटी सुरुटी द्विजावंती मलयांबरी कापी परशुधनासरी देशिक तोडी आहिरी वसंत गौड़ी संतु केदार गौड़ा कनकांगी रत्नांगी गानमूर्ति वनस्पति वाचस्पति दानवती मानरूपी सेनापति हनुमत्तोड़ी धेनुका नाटक प्रिया कोकिल प्रिया रूपवती गायक प्रिया वकुलाभरण चक्रवाक सूर्यकांत हाटकांबरी झंकार ध्वनि नट भैरवी गीर्वाणी हरिकांबोधि धीर शंकराभरण नागानंदिनी यागप्रिया विसृमर सरस गान रसेत्यादि संतत संतन्यमान नित्योत्सव पक्षोत्सव मासोत्सव संवत्सरोत्सवादि विविधोत्सव कृतानंदः श्रीमतानंद निलयवासः श्री श्रीनिवासः सुप्रसन्नो विजयता. There was this beautiful nagaram called Mathura. येषनारायण श्रीमान क्षीरार्णव निकेतनः नागपर्यंकमुत्सृज्य ह्यागतो मथुरां पुरीं, says Purana Vakyam. Bhagavan chose Mathura. In that there was a Raja called Shurasena, very good Raja. Rajadhani tadassa bhoot sarva yadava bhubujam Mathura Bhagavan yatra nityam sannihito harihi. He had a son, waste son, criminal son called Kamsa. Kamsa had a sister, the only one with whom he showered love. Her name was Devaki. Devaki was to be given in marriage. The person chosen as the son-in-law was Anaka Dundubi. Uttukad Kavi Madhaka Panchakam says, Anaka Dundubi Bhagyapate Hari Hari Madhava Madhusudana Jaya Anaka Dundubi Bhagyapate. Because when this man was born, two instruments called Anaka and Dundubi were played. Why was it played when he was born? Because Devas knew that he will be fathering Bhagavan. So they wanted to celebrate the father to Bhagavan, so they called him Anaka Dundubi. He was called Vasudeva. Vasudeva was given in marriage to the daughters of Shurasena. Now it was Devaki's turn. They didn't want to venture with a new son-in-law, so they thought, tried and tested. One was Anaka Dundubi, Vasudeva, so they got him married. So on the day of Bharat, Janavasam. You know Janavasam? What is Janavasam? Prior to the day of Muhurtam, the boy will be taken in an ambassador car, fitted with roses and sellotape. The car will go slowly, and then many mamas, mommies will carry badam plate, pick and pista and all of that before. So this is not a Vaidika samskara. Today we call it Bharat.
Yeah.
Right? No, it is not a Vaidika samskara. It is a Laukika samskara. It was done in 1950s, 60s, 80s prominently because it was a background check for the boy. Now you have LinkedIn recommendations. You can go for agencies. They will verify and tell you whether he really has a certificate or says that he has a certificate. You could do. But the days of 1950s, 60s when social media was absolutely obsolete or non-existent, this was the easiest way, because if the boy is going in that car slowly, so somebody says, this is my husband. So this was conducted. So Vasudeva and Devaki sat on the chariot. Pati pragrahinam kamsam. So Kamsa said, for my sister, Yamma, சின்ன வயசுல முட்டாய் கேட்டேன், நானும் போனேனே, ஞாபகம் இருக்கா? Devaki, he started riding the chariot. He was extremely attached to his sister Devaki, Deva, he used to call her. And then he started riding. Ashariri Vak, Kamsamabhashya Ashariri Vak. One audio was heard, ethereal voice said, Mudha, fool. That's all it said. Kamsa turned. उसको पता था कि उसका नाम शायद क्या होना चाहिए. Fool! The one whom you are carrying in the chariot, her ashtamo garbham will be your marana karanam. Till now he was showering love on his sister. He took the sword from his kabad, pulled her by the hair and was about to behead. had I been in Vasudeva's position, I would have run. There was a crime scene. Why should I be there? I have many other ways. I'll manage with them. But you know what Vasudeva did? He said, stop. She's your sister. We may or may not have children. We may not even go till the 8th child. Why do you want to kill? Kamsa, you and I have to die one day. Whether the Ashariri Vak says it or not, we have to shed our material body. Like how the worm goes from one leaf to the other, so does Jivatma go from one body to the other. When it moves, the earlier body has to be shed. He gives Vedanta Jnanam. Vajram stishtan padaikena yathayivekena gacchati yatha trinajalukaiva dehi karmagatim gataha. He gives, in the 10th scenario, he gives Vedanta Jnanam. That is when Bhagavan decides in Vaikuntha. He should be my father. Why later when Bhagavan is born in Kurukshetra Bhumi, Bhagavan too in that scenario talks about the same Jnanam. He says, my father should be like me. So let him be my father. Then Kamsa said, I trust in you, Vasudeva. If you promise, I will believe in you because I'm sure you won't take the loan and run away to UK. So you'll pay your loan completely. So I believe in you. So, inko chhod do. Now the couple had one child. As soon as the end of 1 year, he took that child to Kamsa and Kamsa said, no, I don't want to kill the child. Such a beautiful face. Take it back. Narada, he said, see, in this joy they will keep producing children. Then at one point you won't know which is the 7th, which is the 8th. So he killed all the 6. Why did Narada have to do this? Because they were the sons of Kalanemi who had to get moksha from their birth itself. So 6 children were lost by Devaki right in front of her eyes. The 7th Garbham was called a miscarriage and embryonic transfer was done to Rohini's Garbham, who was housed in Nandagopal's house in Gokulam. Gokulam was that village attached to every Rajyam where 10,000 cows and dairy products used to be made. The chief was Nandagopal, Patni, Dharma Patni was Yashoda. So Rohini was in that house. So she became pregnant, she delivered the child. The child was extremely handsome to look at. Ramayatiti Ramaha. He also had a valor and prowess on his face. Balat Sahita Ramaha, Balaramaha Sankarshana. She became pregnant for the 8th time. Bhagavan api Vishwatma Bhaktanam Abhayankaraha Avivevam Shabhagena Mana Anaka Dundubhe. She became pregnant for the 8th time. She has lost 6 children. The 7th was a miscarriage. 8th time she's carrying. How will her feelings be? She was extremely elated. Why? Because Paramatma is within her. Vedanta Deshika, the prolific poet Acharya in the 13th century, in his poem called Yadava Abhyudayam, dedicates 60 verses to describing her gestation. He says when she walked within her jail, see, after understanding from Narada, Kamsa throws them into the jail. But he's a fool. He puts them in the same cell. And he put them in 301, 302. My Bhagavatam would have gotten over by now. Production. So, Devaki was messaged by her gynac, on an obstetrician, that you have to walk after food. Take a walk. Take a Fitbit. 10,000 steps. So she started walking. As she walked within the jail premises, she felt as if she was flying. She thought it's a vertigo problem. And she reclined on the floor. As she reclined on the floor, she felt the floor was slippery. She couldn't fathom as to what would be the reason that she could attribute such feelings to. Vedanta Deshika says, Shesheshayanam Garudena Yantim. When she carried Bhagavan in her Garbham, Garuda became the carrier. That is why she had the moment of flying. The floor was slippery because Adishesha became the Paryankasanam. Shesheshayanam Garudena Yantim Padme Nishannam Adhiratna Pitham Hayashanehi Bhavitavandakrityam Bhimagati Swapna Disham Dadarsha. Generally, dark complexioned women also look fair during gestation because their skin gets stretched and there is a reduction in the iron levels. That is why folic acid tablets are given. But here, the fair complexioned Devaki looked dark, says Vedanta Deshika. Why? Because the Bhagavan who was inside her Garbham was so dark that his color had enveloped her skin. At one point he says in the second trimester she looked silver color. Why? Because she was carrying the dark complexion Lord in her garbham, who had gold complexion Mahalakshmi in his chest, whose feet were red complexion. So red complexion feet Mahalakshmi on a gold complexion body, in the dark complexion Bhagavan, in the fair complexion Devaki, made her silver. Shataklada banduraya swakantya sanjati jambudana bimbakalpa trayanta yugmena rasayanena kalena bheje kaladauta Lakshmi. Our acharyas go left and right in literature when they have to describe Krishna's Garbhavasam. That small jail premises. But she felt Anandamaya because she is having Sakshat Bhagavan. It was the month of Avani, the Paksham of Krishna Paksham. The Nakshatram Rohini asterism had come. The Tithi was Ashtami, Rohini, Krishna Paksham, Avani Masam. As the clouds went dark, now all of you take your phones out and keep your torches on. Take your phone. Take your phone, keep your torches on. All your torches are ready. If you have elderly people next to you, please help them out. Keep the torches on. Have you taken your cell phones out? So that was a magical moment when she received her labor, and that is when Krishna had to be delivered. It was pouring cats and dogs outside. Krishna Megha Janitam Janitapaharam. As the conches blew, Tamadbhutam Balakamambuje Chaturbhujam Shankagadaayudharyudam Srivatsalakshmam Gadashobikaustubam Pitambaram Sandrapayoda Saubhagam Maharavaidurya Kirita Kundala Tvisha Parishvakta Sahasra Kuntalam Uddhama Kanchi Gadakankanadibhir Virochamanam Vasudeva Maikshata Tamadbhutam Balakamambuje Chaturbhujam Shankagadaayudharyudam Srivatsalakshmam Gadashobikaustubam Pitambaram Sandrapayoda Saubhagam Maharavaidurya Kirita Kundala Tvisha Parishvakta Sahasra Kuntalam Uddhama Kanchi Gadakankanadibhir Virochamanam Vasudeva Maikshata Gopika Jeevana Smaranam. It was a very beautiful, magical moment when Krishna was born. Tam Adbhutam Balakam Ambuja Ikshanam, says Shuka Brahmam. Adbhutam Balakam, you can switch on the lights. Adbhutam Balakam Ambuja Ikshanam. Adbhutam Balakam. That boy was very unique. Adbhutam Balakam. You can turn the lights on in the audience side as well. Adbhutam Balakam Ambuja Ikshanam. Balakam. Balaha Kaha Yasya Sa Balakaha, says one Acharya. When the boy was born, there was a kamalam from that Nabhi, and Brahma was seated on Adbhutam Balakam Ambujekshanam. His eyes were akin to the petals of a newly blossomed lotus inside the cell. Chaturbhujam, 4 hands. See, in Krishna Avataram, don't search for logic. Everything is magical. The boy was born with 4 hands. Chaturbhujam. Shankha Gadha Yudharyudam. He was born with Shankham, Chakram, Gada Padmam. How did the mother and the father spot the child in a cell that is enveloped in darkness? Dvija Chandra Chandrika Maikshata, with the brightness that emanated from his 32 teeth. He smiled. That whiteness just emanated. Unnila Danta Pankti Spuradarunatara Chaya Bimbadaranta, says Bhattatri. Everything was magical in that. Imagine Devaki and Vasudeva couldn't take it. They were seeing a boy extraordinary in nature in front of them. She was wondering, did I carry this child all along? Tam Adbhutam Balakam Ambujekshanam Chaturbhujam. Balakam means small boy, but there is another meaning. Kaha iti shabdeti. Kaha means Brahma. Balaha kaha yasyasa balakaha. When the boy was born, from his nabi came a small lotus. In that small lotus was seated a bumblebee like Brahma. So when she delivered her son, she delivered her grandson. She became a grandmother when she became a mother. Tam adbhutam balakam. Ambujaikshanam, his eyes. Gambiramba samudbhuta sumrishta nada ravikara vikasita pundarika dala amarayadekshana. Kadiyavagi pudaivarandu melirundu shabbariyodi neendava periya why. It looked as if the petals of a blossom lotus were attached on his eyes. So beautiful were his eyes. Ambujakshanam Chatutbhujam, small boy. In that small boy, 2 hands. In that hand there is a chakram. Shankhagadayudharyudam. Srivatsa Lakshmam, on his chest is Mahalakshmi. She became a mother-in-law when she became a mother. Srivatsa Lakshmam, Gadashovi Kaustubam, there was a mirror, gem. Srivatsa Lakshmam, Gadashovi Kaustubam, Pitambaram, he was born with yellow silk. Sandra Payoda, Saubhaga Maharha, Vaidurya, Kirita, Kundala, Pisha, Parishwaka, fully adorned he is born. She couldn't withstand this. She was asking her husband, who is this? My dear child, take all your teeth. My brother will come running. He took his teeth. Ma, if you say something, I will listen. He hid his 2 hands. She said, I cannot take this, my son. Who are you? Vasudeva couldn't believe his eyes. Vasudeva Maikshata, says Bhagavatam. It was a magical moment. This boy later is going to deliver the essence of the Upanishads called Bhagavad Gita by becoming Gita Acharya on the Kurukshetra Bhumi. Krishna Avataram's influence has affected the entire civilization. So much so that even when the Greek travelers, they come, one of the Vidisha pillars they write, Vasudeva Arjuna Bhyam Hun is a sutram in Panini's Ashtadhyayi, they mark. There were coins issued in the Greek civilization with Krishna holding the chakram. The influence of Krishna spread far and wide. No avataram that you can fathom in Sanatana Dharma can get close to Krishna Avataram, the influence that it holds. That Krishna Avataram is going to be our topic of delineation and elucidation for tomorrow, the day after, 3 days from now on. So to that Krishna who gave us Srimad Bhagavad Gita, that Krishna who did various Leela Cheshtitam and has occupied the minds and the pens of so many acharyas, we pay our obeisances, and Krishna Avataram shall begin from tomorrow. Kavita Kika Simhaya Kalyana Gunashaline Srimate Venkateshaya Vedanta Gurave Namaha.